The year 1947 witnessed scenes of unimaginable horror and upheaval. The Indian subcontinent, once a jewel in the crown of the British Empire, was being ripped apart. As the British hastily retreated, they left behind a land fractured along religious lines, engulfed in a maelstrom of violence and displacement. The partition of India was a tragedy of immense proportions, a bloody stain on the history of the 20th century. It was a time when neighbor turned against neighbor, when ancient hatreds were inflamed, and when millions were forced to flee their homes, seeking refuge in a land that was suddenly alien. This brutal episode saw the birth of two new nations, India and Pakistan, but at a terrible human cost. The wounds of partition run deep, their scars still visible on the face of the subcontinent even today. The spectre of religious violence continues to haunt the region, a grim reminder of the human cost of division and the enduring legacy of a fractured past. For centuries, the British ruled India, exploiting its resources and enriching their coffers. Their divide-and-rule strategy exacerbated divisions within Indian society. They sowed discord between Hindus and Muslims to maintain power. This policy created mistrust between communities. By the early 20th century, the demand for independence was growing. The stage was set for a clash of visions as freedom approached. Two towering figures dominated the Indian independence movement, Mahatma Gandhi and Muhammad Ali Jinnah. Gandhi, the apostle of non-violence, dreamed of a united India where Hindus and Muslims would live together in harmony. His vision was of an inclusive India, a secular democracy where all citizens would be treated equally, regardless of their faith. Jinnah, on the other hand, the leader of the Muslim League, believed that a united India would mean the political and cultural marginalization of Muslims. He demanded a separate homeland for Muslims, a state where they could live according to their own laws and customs, free from what he perceived as Hindu domination. As the British prepared to leave, the chasm between these two visions seemed unbridgeable. Negotiations between the Congress Party, led by Gandhi and Nehru, and the Muslim League faltered. The dream of a united, independent India was slipping away, replaced by the spectre of partition. Section 4. The Partition, a hasty retreat and its bloody consequences. In June 1947, the British government announced its plan to partition India, dividing the country into two independent dominions, India and Pakistan. The decision was made with undue haste, driven by a desire to extricate themselves from India as quickly as possible. The task of drawing the borders between these new nations was entrusted to Sir Cyril Radcliffe, a British lawyer who had never set foot in India before. Radcliffe, armed with outdated maps and little understanding of the complex realities on the ground, was given just 5 weeks to complete this monumental task. The result was a chaotic and flawed partition plan. The hastily drawn borders divided communities, separated families, and ignited a firestorm of violence and displacement. Millions of Hindus, Muslims, and Sikhs found themselves on the wrong side of the newly created borders, triggering one of the largest mass migrations in human history. Section 5. Scars on the subcontinent, the enduring legacy of partition. The partition of India was a cataclysmic event, its consequences reverberating across the subcontinent. The violence claimed the lives of an estimated 1 million people. Millions were uprooted, forced to flee across newly drawn borders. The partition left an indelible mark on India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh. It sowed seeds of mistrust, leading to decades of conflict. The Kashmir dispute remains a major flashpoint. The partition serves as a stark reminder of the human cost of division.